This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ready to Connect. I'm Lisa.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week we're going to get into the Midwest states of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. But before we begin, would love to hear how everybody's week has been, what you guys have been up to this past weekend, anything. I don't know. Did you get out and about? What's been going on? Ryan, what's been going on?
Wow.
I got out. I knew we were going to get snowed in, so got out and took a ride up north. It was quite nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, it was great. We went up into Northampton, and then we went up into where the Bridge of Flowers is, which is Greenfield, and then we went to Kringle Candle, and
your favorite place.
My favorite place. Totally love Kringle Candle, but one of the things at Kringle Candle is they have a little restaurant. It's a farm-to-table restaurant, and it's a little pricey. It's not like for, everyday kind of go out and have, but absolutely love the farm-to-table restaurant there. So enjoyed a nice meal. Just had a really nice break before we got pummeled with all this snow here in Connecticut. Just to get in the car and just go, right? What a blessing. What about you, Ryan? What'd you do?
That's great. Sounds like quite an adventure. So, let's see. What did I do? Well, shoveled my car out. It's hanging out, watching the snow. Yeah, so for listeners who are not in the Northeast area, we had a huge snowstorm, and so that's just what happened. But also something interesting that happened this past weekend. So we've talked on our podcast earlier in the episodes about how spirits like to give us different signs, and so my roommate, her father passed away 2 years ago, and I kind of saw it as a sign when her sister became pregnant and was going to have a baby, and I said, you know what, I have a feeling she might have the baby on the anniversary date of the father's passing, and she did. So now my roommate Robin is a new aunt as well, and it's very exciting, but found it fascinating that, kind of changing a negative memory and now having another layered memory, making it positive. So I found that interesting, and I thought it was a great sign, and I wanted to share.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's fun to be an aunt.
Yeah.
It's fun to be a grandma, but it's fun to be an aunt because you can do all the stupid things with the kid and blame it on the kid, even though you want to do all the stupid things. Right, Lisa?
Absolutely. I love being an auntie. I had so much fun with my sister's children growing up. We had a great time. I have a great time with my brother's daughter, Anna. I've talked about her before on the podcast. She's just a wonderful light. It's just a lot of fun. But I also adore being a grandma. Can't lie. For me, I did much of nothing, really. We were getting ready to actually have family over on Sunday, but because of the impending snowstorm, we had to put that on hold because my husband is traveling, so he had to bug out on Sunday rather than waiting Monday to get where he was going. So I didn't have my plans didn't come to fruition like I thought they would. So it was just a lot of just kind of hanging at home. Really, that's about it. So not doing much of anything, but my reading, my art, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, well, let's get right to our Haunted America series. And Ryan, you're going to kick it off because you have an update from one of the hauntings you talked about last week.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm just going to move this over a bit if I can. Nope, it won't let me. All right. So basically, I'm trying to get to my notes here. I'll do this. There we go. So yes, I had an update regarding that spirit Thedora in Arkansas. Remember we were questioning she was a former cancer patient at the Baker Cancer Hospital in the 1930s, and now it is known as the Crescent Hotel and Spa in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And we were just wondering why she was fumbling around with the keys. Still wasn't able to find actual, proof. Why would she have the keys? But I did find some more information that she's known as a polite spirit who likes to tidy up the rooms, or she'll like appear in the period clothing. But basically, she was in room 419. The guests and staff, they have seen her presence. She often accompanied by like a sudden drop in temperature, or like a sense of sadness. But she is known to arrange the messy, scattered personal items, and they said that they can hear her like fumbling with keys outside of that door. So I'm still curious as to why she may have keys. Maybe it's just because that's where she was staying, or I don't know if back then if they had keys. I know we were kind of questioning this, if they had the keys to their room back then. That would be interesting. But it is the most requested room in that spa hotel.
Yeah, I believe it.
Also, there was a story of a couple who I thought this was slightly humorous. So I'll share it. There was a couple staying in that room, and they were arguing, and they decided to kind of just take a break, take a breather. Both of them left the room to take a walk, come back, regroup. When they came back, all their stuff was packed up and their luggage was by the door. So, so they think that Thedora was the one like, not dealing with you arguing in my room. You got to go.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So I was like, okay, that's no wonder it's the most popular room. But yeah, she's very polite, and she doesn't like, the yelling or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, who does?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Likes
good point.
Screaming matches, especially when you're in a hotel. Nobody wants to hear anybody else screaming in the next room.
Right.
For sure. But
Right.
to pack my stuff and tell me to go,
Yep.
oh, that's brazen. That's brazen. Wow.
100%. Yeah. And it just, I wish there was a way to have like caught that on camera somehow,
Road trip.
Yeah. 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 So found that fascinating. So I'm still curious what's going on with the keys. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people have said they have seen her holding the keys, and also they have heard her like fumbling with the keys trying to open up the door.
And this is in what era?
1930s.
1930. So they were still using those old, like,
Yeah.
black iron key rings with the giant keys. Yeah.
Dangling sound and that. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe she uses those keys to get in so she could pack up people's stuff to get them out. I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, no, you gotta go. That's
You
it.
gotta go.
I don't care if you
I
paid
don't
for the
care
whole
you
week.
paid. You gotta go. Yeah. I would probably be the same way as an innkeeper. Like, keep it down, otherwise you gotta go. We're not doing this.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, great update. We'll keep hoping to find more information about those keys for sure. Or maybe somebody from the local area will reach out and help
Let
us
us know.
explain. Yes.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Now, like, here's my question. Like, so how did she even get the keys? Like, how does that work? Did she always have the keys on her, and that's why she has them? Or I don't know. Can she pick them up somewhere?
So
And then
remind me again of her role there. She was a guest, or she actually was like affiliated with this
she was a cancer patient when it was
cancer
a
patient.
hospital,
It was a
and
hospital.
that was
Yeah.
her room. That was her room.
So how would
Maybe they were her own keys and not hotel keys or hospital keys.
Oh, maybe.
You
I
know,
don't
I
know.
would think that if you had keys to your own places and whatever, they would still be those old-fashioned type keys.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
So maybe
Yeah.
they were her own and she was trying to get in her room with her own. I don't know. Why would she be trying to get in a patient room when she should be already in there as a patient, though? I don't
Right.
know. It seems more like an intelligent haunting if she's doing stuff like that. Although if they see her all the time, I don't know. It's a mystery. It's missing.
I feel like we're gonna have to reach out to the hotel and be like, "Look, what's going on with the keys?" Like,
Or maybe in
This,
that,
this was in Arkansas. This was in Arkansas.
correct.
Road trip. Well, we can get to Arkansas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why not?
yeah.
We'll
I've
go
never
there
been to
just to ask the
Arkansas.
question. Just to ask the question.
Maybe one of our listeners will host us for the weekend and we can go out there and visit and they can show us all the haunted locations.
There you go. I wonder what the wait list is like for that room.
Right. Yeah. I can only imagine. I'm sure.
So,
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm tasking you right here on recording. You are going to call that hotel and you're going to find out the wait list for that because we might need to plan this.
I can reach out. I can reach
All
out and
right.
see how long the wait list is. I'm sure it's probably booked out for like a year.
We're going to find out and we'll give our listeners something juicy because maybe we're going to have a big reunion there. I don't know.
Do you need snow in Arkansas? Because if there's no snow in Arkansas, let's go like now.
Yeah. Arizona's looking really good right now.
The amount of snow that's outside our homes right now, it's going to
Yeah.
take at least until May for that all to melt, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And not just us in Connecticut, but like Massachusetts, like they are buried. Some areas got like 38 inches, some areas got more. I know Fall River is like completely under snow. And you were just saying earlier, right, that they were hiring people in New York
New York
to
City to shovel.
shovel.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
Get away from the snow. All right. What else you got there, Ryan? You were in the state of Indiana?
Yeah, in Indiana. Yeah. So I was excited to pick Indiana. I think of Gary, Indiana. It's where Michael Jackson is from, but that's a whole other topic. So, but basically, yeah, I found multiple haunted places in Indiana. I think I have three of them. But let's see. So you have the official Randolph County Asylum, an infirmary. I probably said that wrong. Anyway, so it started as a poor farm, a place where people who were elderly, sick, disabled, mentally ill, or without family support, they lived and they worked. It says, let's see, it was first a poorhouse was on site. It was built in 1851. Then it was replaced after a fire and structural issues. The current building that's standing today was completed in 1899, and it served the county for about a century, so it offered shelter, care, and work for the residents. Let's see. And then over many years, it then became a nursing home, and then it finally closed in 2008, 2009. But basically, people say it's haunted. Well, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people passed away because of disease, like tuberculosis was common. All types of other deaths happened. Also, let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. Unfortunately, people may have committed suicide there. Not a fun topic to talk about, but
No, but if anybody is listening and knows of someone that has tendencies for suicide, there are lots of hotlines out there.
mm-hmm.
Use them. You're not alone. You can be in a safe place. You can find people who will help you. I know Connecticut has a suicide number, and so doesn't every state, right?
Absolutely.
Suicide
Yes.
awareness is needs to be out there, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that type of energy, if it, definitely would show up in a haunting, I would think,
Mm.
be trapped like that. Tuberculosis was quite the disease. I just finished reading a book about it, believe it or not. It's a weird disease to pick up to read, but I just finished reading a book about tuberculosis and how a lot of creatives felt they were more creative when they had tuberculosis. It was really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of the ladies, people who were more frail, might have had autoimmune issues, would get tuberculosis. And so because of that, it was as if you weren't poor and in environments that were very dirty, let's say,
Hmm.
um, you might have been the frail noblewoman or weaker noblewoman who would get this tuberculosis. So um, it's weird how it had this type of stereotype of a disease that, if you had it, you might be of the wealthy nobleman kind of like pretty lady.
Hmm.
Or you were this poor, destitute, living in squalor and, dirt. But it's quite the disease, and it went through quite the process of finding medicines that would help for recovery.
Hmm.
And the fact of how sick you would feel, the pain in it. So tuberculosis, TB is, well, first of all, it's a disease that can be cured now, but only if you have the right kind of medicines and stuff. And there are still countries that are dealing with TB outbreaks and deaths and stuff that really shouldn't happen. But in any case, when you say it had tuberculosis patients, there's going to be a lot of pain there. And a lot of people who had it in the advance, I'm sure, wanted to take their lives.
Mm, I can
And didn't
imagine.
TB make you have like extremely high fevers, correct?
It could be, it could have been because of, infections and things. I mean, I think when you had TB, yeah, yes, it could be in
So, I
advance.
mean,
Yeah,
anybody with a fever over 103, you're going to be delirious too.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's a proven medical statement. Anything over 102, 103, you start becoming delirious. So I could imagine if you're already feeling the way you're feeling, and then you just couple that with a fever and you're delirious,
yeah, yeah,
spells bad news, right?
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so you bring up a good point. Yeah, I can only imagine the energy that people feel when they go to this place. It's got to be incredible. But there are certain spirits that will be more interactive than others. For instance, there's children that answer questions during EVP sessions. Sometimes visitors like they report the children's spirits throughout the building, especially in the former like dormitory areas. But you can hear light footsteps running in the hallways, um, toys or balls rolling on their own. I feel like we've talked about that somewhere else too.
Yeah, that happens with child energy
Hmm.
sometimes. Yeah.
Soft giggling or whispers, sudden playful tugs on clothing. Um, they were thinking that many children were housed there due to poverty or illness or just being orphaned. Um, but I found that interesting that they're responding to the questions. That's pretty cool. There's also elderly residents, just because it was a nursing home. So elderly spirits are believed to remain in the areas where the residents were once resting and socializing. And visitors have reported feeling a hand on their shoulder or arm, pressure on beds or chairs, soft humming or coughing, and then they've been responding to EVPs as well when asked questions. So that's pretty cool. There's a woman in the pink room. Okay, this is one of the most well-known individual spirits, and it's basically a female voice responding intellectually during the sessions. Sudden emotional shifts, such as like sadness, calm, or unease, objects moving. They're thinking that she was a long-term resident. Well, a lot of these spirits are. And then there's the shadow man, who's kind of intimidating. They mostly see him on stairwells or long hallways. You kind of get the feeling like you're being followed when he's around. Or you can hear heavy footsteps approaching, and then it stops. So that's got to be interesting to be in a place and like you hear the footsteps coming toward you and then it stops. I don't know. That might.
And they're right behind you, right? When it
Yeah.
stops, it
See,
walked up right behind you. Don't turn around. Don't look.
yeah, yeah. See, I mean, both of you are nervous about dolls and everything, but like, I don't know. I would get nervous about the footsteps coming up behind me. I'd be like, oh no, like
I'm out.
I don't mind the footsteps. It's
I
the
don't
dog.
mind the footsteps. Yeah.
I remember being home here one time and my husband was traveling again for work and I was upstairs folding laundry and I was on the phone with one of my girlfriends and I said, "Oh, I hear footsteps coming up my stairwell." And she's like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And I'm like, "I hear them. Yep, I hear footsteps," kind of thing. And I went to look, nobody's there. She's like, oh my God, I would leave the house right away. I said, why? I mean, maybe they're coming to help me fold the laundry. I don't know.
There
I
you go.
wish.
There you go.
You, Ryan, you hear the footsteps coming up a stairway, you'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm like,
There's a doll walking up my stairway. I'm out.
well, speaking of dolls, there is a doll room spirit in this
Of
place as
course,
well.
of course there is.
That was a great transition. Like,
There you go.
but basically, dolls appear to be moving, and yeah, EVPs responding when dolls are mentioned by name, and also in this room there's like sudden knocking, tapping. There's spikes of energy when visitors touch the toys. I guess there's toys in this room, but many believe that there's a child spirit who is attached to that room, and that it's the child interacting, not the doll. So
I just got chills though when you said, I don't know, I just got chills.
Oh,
Dolls giving EVPs? No, I'm out.
no, I'm out. No, yeah, no, clowns and dolls. Oh, no, creepy. Not my cup of tea.
no.
I can handle footsteps. I can handle someone talking to me, but a doll turns their head or even just starts talking to me. Yeah, we're gonna go into anxiety panic mode.
Yeah. So that was that place. All right, so I guess we're not visiting there.
No. We'll let one of our listeners go do it and do the investigation and send it in for us.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, perfect. That's great.
We'll air you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Another place that I found interesting was the Elkhart Civic Theater. So it dates back to 1897, and it served as an opera house and performance venue. And then, yeah, it became the Elkhart Civic Theater, I believe, in the 1960s. But basically,
I love theaters.
yeah. Basically, now it has live performances, workshops, cultural events, but it also has some spirits. So there's objects moving, levitation, shadowy figures.
Levitation?
Yeah, things are moving around. They said, here we go, books, papers, props, and small items have been reported to be moving or falling off shelves with no cause. Sometimes props and costumes are found in different places than where they were left. Even when the theater is like secured overnight, they've just been found in other places.
That reminds me of when we talked about on our Patreon bonus content about the state capitol and how furniture was moved when it was secured overnight. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They wait until they're, by themselves.
Right.
I was wondering if this is the theater I read about that the sandbags to lift the curtains would just like randomly fall on the stage and like in an attempt, but that might be another theater. I do love looking up different theaters, so it might be a different theater.
Yeah.
I thought it was that one where someone actually died because one of the sandbags got supposedly pushed by a spirit and hit him during performance. But I'll have to come back to that if it's not this one.
I think that's a different theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't see that on here, but that's interesting.
Okay.
Wow.
Little Phantom of the Opera going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they have a couple spirits that are most, this one spirit is most famous there. His name is Percy. He was actually a former handyman, caretaker of the theater. He lived in the theater basement with his family during the Depression era, and many believe that his spirit remains in the building and is responsible for the activity. He's described as mischievous and interactive, but sometimes affectionate, sometimes like a trickster. Honestly, I kind of wonder if he's just having fun. Like, I don't know. He just thinks he's joking. I don't know. That's the vibe I get. But
absolutely.
I can only imagine like living in the theater. Like he wants to interact with people. But the interactions that they had with him is that he leans against actors, or he'll like brush up against them unexpectedly, causes cold spots, especially around like the right side aisle and dressing rooms, which is interesting. That maybe that's where he was fixing things. I don't know if he's a handyman
or he was a peeping Tom.
You never know.
I mean, he's lurking around those dressing rooms.
Yeah.
And he lives in a basement. I mean, you're
Yeah.
really building a good ghost story here.
Yeah. But basically, he's been seen in like photos taken during ghost hunts. So some say that he dislikes musicals. I found this interesting. So disturbances tend to happen more during musical rehearsals and shows rather than like other performances that they have there.
Oh
So,
boy.
um,
Huh.
but yeah, but basically they see him as a kind of playful rather than frightening. Also, there's spirits of children. Children are seen playing or peeking like through the curtains or like stage left type of thing. Uh, Shadows or fleeting figures that resemble children have been seen, but the children seem to be like seen as calm and that they come out of nowhere and they'll just be playing or running around. And then there's a dark-haired woman who she's seen floating. She's like a shadow-like figure of a woman with dark hair. She'll move through the backstage areas or the hallways, and she's just seen as kind of quiet. And you'll just notice her out of the corner of your eye.
There's
But
a lot happening in this theater.
there's a lot happening in that theater, yeah.
Just go sit and watch that rather than get a show. I mean,
I know. We'd be if the three of us went there, we would be so distracted during the show. We'd be like, "Oh, well, there's the children." Like,
yeah.
My neck would hurt from looking around so much.
yeah, yeah,
Whiplash.
exactly. And then last but not least, I did find it's called Story Inn. It's a historic bed and breakfast restaurant. It's in the Brown County area of Indiana.
The name of
And
this place already has me. The Story in
Story Inn. Yep.
the Book Lover. I
Yeah.
need to go there because of the name of the place.
There you go.
And
There
I
you
live
go.
on Story Ave.
That's
Wow.
true. You do.
Look at that connection.
Yeah.
Yep. It was founded in 1851, and basically it was originally. I found this fascinating just because of like the usage of the building over time. And originally it was a general store and a post office, and then the upstage area was converted into guest rooms, and then over time the building became what it is now, the bed and breakfast. But basically they have a blue lady, so that's the most famous spirit and that's why I picked this one. I was like, oh, here we go. We got a blue lady. But I found this fascinating. So she's considered the blue lady because she's seen wearing or surrounding by like blue hues. So sometimes it's a flowing dress, or sometimes it's just like blue energy around her. So I found that fascinating. But basically, she's seen in a specific guest room. Now it's called the Blue Lady Room. It's right above the restaurant and general store. Yeah, some guests see her. She'll just be standing by the bed. She might be in a mirror, or she might be a reflection in the window. Also, they recognize her spirit just by smelling cherry tobacco, which I know we were talking about that a while ago as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that was her favorite scent, so she'll pop up with that scent. But here's another
If we go
fascinating
visit
thing.
her,
Oh, go
we
ahead.
have to bring
Yep.
a pipe. We have to bring a pipe, and we're gonna have to light cherry tobacco, right? And we're gonna invite her in and
Yeah.
have her tell us her story. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
With the smell of tobacco in old homes, if there's a lot of wood in the room, wood holds on to tobacco smell, and
Ah.
sometimes the smell is emanating from the wood. So I always like if I'm going like if you go to the Mark Twain house in Connecticut, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely have that cigar smell in the wood as well.
Oh,
So it's always good to
absolutely.
kind of check the surroundings of the room and if there's wood paneling or whatever, you know. But all right,
Yeah.
continue. I'm fascinated. Blue Lady.
Yeah. Well, this last piece of information about her, which I found just so intriguing, she will leave blue objects behind. So some guests have claimed that she leaves behind blue items like ribbons or objects that were not there before. And I was like, that's cool. If you could go and get like a souvenir that's blue, like like you can leave
But
with an object.
I have no money for souvenirs, but maybe the Blue Lady will leave me a, blue ribbon. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If
Ah,
if we could just get a blue ribbon, that's fine. That's great. So yeah, so that's what I found in Indiana. Just a tidbit of information, but quite fascinating, nonetheless.
yeah, yeah. Very cool.
So yeah. Let's see. Heather, do you want to
Yeah,
share what you found
yeah,
in Michigan?
yeah. First, I just want to say that, doing some research about Michigan, I'm highly impressed. This is not just a one episode, so we'll have to circle back to Michigan. I mean, actually, all the states we're doing, right? But in Michigan alone, there's 8 counts of women in color. So that was really
Really?
cool. Different colors. Yep. So 8 different stories, which we won't do all 8, or I could touch on all 8, I guess, and then just kind of we'll do more work with them. But the first one was Minnie Quay. She was known as the Girl in Grief by Lake Huron. And the original story originates in 1876, and it has some tragic roots, apparently, according to like folklore and legend, that this story actually goes all the way back to the Victorian era. So Mary Jane, who was known as Minnie Quay, she was a 15-year-old girl. She was from Forester Township in Michigan, the Thumb regions, and Minnie fell deeply in love. Oh, here we go. We know it's going to be a story, right? And Minnie
Right.
fell in love with a sailor who regularly docked in her town. And when the word came that the ship had sunk in the Great Lakes, she couldn't bear the heartbreak, and she would walk the pier until her passing. And some believe that she stepped into the Great Michigan Lake or Lake Huron waters to never return. Many folklores and stories that I was looking at claim that she is residual. People have gone down there. Lots of paranormal enthusiasts and have gone down there. They do believe her spirit still roams the beaches near Forester. Sometimes she's been seen walking the shoreline. Others have mentioned that she's beckoning the unwary, which, oh, how devastating would it be to walk up on the pier or on the beach and just see a woman pleading with you? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know where to begin. My empathic self would just explode. I think, like, I don't even know how to help. But it said that people leave coins for her as offerings for her grave, and they believe that she may follow you home if you don't do that. Which that doesn't mean she's residual. If she's going to follow you home,
I was going to say that's not residual haunting.
not
No,
at all.
you have to leave
So
an offering or like a gift. That's not
yeah,
residual. That's
Yeah.
recognizing that there's intelligence in that haunting. Yeah.
And then what
yeah,
happens if she follows you home? Do you have to tell her like she has to go back?
yeah.
Finds
Well,
her set of keys and tries to get in.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. There you go.
yeah, nothing's following me home. Go back to where you came from.
Hmm.
Especially seeing how the claims of this are like, they hear her sobbing. Like, don't come in my house sobbing. Like, you can come in my house sobbing, but you better leave laughing. Like, I can't have it, right? And that, that she's restless. She also, there's a claim that, like, some versions of this story claim that she lures men into the water, which, Ryan, sorry, you're gonna have to be our guinea pig, buddy. I
Yeah.
tell you.
You're our sacrifice. There you go.
You're
I'll,
gonna be our sacrifice, token male.
I'll bring
Ryan's
some
going in, man.
coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we're gonna have to sacrifice you there,
Yeah.
Ryan, because you're a token male now. Um, then we go down to the Byron Cemetery, and this is the woman in black, and she's known as Old Lady Byron, and she is said to haunt Byron Cemetery. And legend says that she visits her husband every day in her wearing a long black noble gown. Every day before her death, she would go every day in her gown, which was common, right? Most countries, the women were to wear black when someone passed for a certain amount of time or forever. It depends on heritage, but she is seen at night, and people say she's transparent. People say that they've seen her drifting through the cemetery and that many glowing orbs surround her. There was no indication that she was intellectual. It was more felt like, as I was reading, that this is more just residual, her energy walking through the cemetery, going to her husband's grave, grieving, and kind of leaving. So then we move on to the woman in white in Finlay Cemetery, but she was also known as the Adowitch. And this was 1800s era. She was a married woman who met a secret lover at night and was caught and killed by her jealous husband. Dun, 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 right? And so visitors claim to see the woman in white near different lurking places. Like she's always lurking, like she's looking around the corner. Of course, if she is cheating on her jealous husband, right, then she would be lurking. But people also say when they've caught glimpses of her, she's a bluish green mist. And I will say to date that I have never seen, I've seen shadows, but I've never seen like a mist. So that would be really fascinating to see. People say she's a unexplained footsteps happening, and that there's distant screams of her dying from her jealous husband, and people can feel her tapping and touching you. This is one of Michigan's most talked about paranormal legends, especially around the Grand Rapids area. So I found that really fascinating. Secret lovers, right? I also kind of dug in a little bit more because Michigan has three different Native American tribes that originate from that area. One of the it's, and I'm probably going to butcher this, and I totally apologize, but it's Menominee, and Menominee was known as the underwater panther, and it's a Ojibwe, yes, legend, and it settles around the Great Lakes. It's part of the tribes, and this is Lake Superior in Lake Michigan. 1600s, 1700s is the oral tradition date, and it had, but there's also written documentation of English settlers who account for this ghost story recording. So Menominee is described as a massive underwater spirit and horned as well, which, wow, they just paint a completely terrifying picture here. We have a black panther with horns, and according to all the legends, it's completely scaled and, life size. And sometimes the panther would appear with its hair spiked, when like a cat gets spooked, their center hair all kind of stands up on the back. But then there's like a little spreading of like this legend where the panther had dragon-like traits and but it was believed that it dwelled in the deepest part of the waters, and especially near the copper-rich areas like the Isles of the Isle Royal, and which is actually near present-day Michigan's Upper Peninsula. So copper being a superconductor, and then you have folklore, you're definitely going to go out there with that folklore in mind and history, right? But then you put it near any kind of mineral, copper, all our different metals are going to be conduits, right? They're going to be conductors, which would completely, if you're having some kind of, interaction with this panther, it's going to be central. It's going to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Expanded. It's going to be more, right, centralized because it's got copper leading that element. But I guess it's said that this panther can control storms, which I don't know. Wow. I invite this panther to come get rid of all this.
We have the panther here in New England right now, and
That's impressive to have that much power. Wow.
Yeah,
That's so
I
cool.
agree. And that's just the fact that like the folklore says that this panther can cause like dangerous waves and overturn canoes for no reason at all. But it is said to guard the underwater copper deposits, just because obviously Native American heritage is going to reflect their spiritual beliefs onto the land, onto the environment. And so the panther is well known for just protecting the waters. And this goes all the way back to the 1800s. So I guess if you're going to be kind of paddling around out there, you definitely need to be hyper aware of any environmental danger, and hopefully you're having a peaceful paddle, not encountering the famous panther, right? There is also a legend that comes from Native American, and that is the Great Lakes area. It's the Turtle Island. It's Algonquin. Many Algonquin tribes still speak their native language over there. It does resonate from Ojibwe, and it's a creation story. And creation stories are very big in all native tribes. They all have the belief of, much like our religions that we as follow, they have the beautiful person, which is the woman who is Mother Earth, and so on and so forth. But in this creation story, Turtle Island was formed here, or Earth was formed on the back of a giant turtle. And you're going to see the giant turtle stories throughout all your different tribes, because they do believe that the giant turtle was Sky Woman, and the Sky Woman fell from the sky and she landed in the Great Lakes region. And she's also seen as a central figure in Native American history worldwide. There's no specific dates because these legends are passed down through oral traditions. It's only the last several years where our native tribes are now getting their history onto paper before it's lost, including their languages, before it gets lost. So it's been passed down, but they do believe that this story originated in the 1600s. So that are pre-1600s. So this is an old legend, very old legend. And Turtle Island is still a term used today by many of the indigenous people down there, and they refer it to as North America.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And, just some of the other stories that are available, we'll have to circle back around. There's incredible, incredible stories coming from Michigan.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what you got?
Well, I had the Buckeye State, Ohio, and there was a lot to dive into, and I could certainly talk about what's considered the most haunted places in Ohio. And I'll touch on those a little bit, but I found a couple other things to be quite interesting. So, do you like hiking? Do you like to get outside, go to a park?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we go to the Hocking Hills State Park in Logan, Ohio, and we can combine our love of being outdoors with a little bit of ghost interaction. How does that sound?
Oh, that's a good combination.
Yeah,
Love
right?
it.
Yeah,
Unless you're
so
going to scare the bejesus out of me and then I can't go back in the woods. No, I'm kidding.
well, no. Let me tell you what I found out about the Hocking Hills State Park. It's located in the southeast region of the state. Of course, it has these towering cliffs, stunning waterfalls, and during the fall time, really great foliage to look at. Sounds amazing, right? Well, there's a couple caves that are at the Hocking Hills State Park. One is called the Old Man's Cave, and it is said that the ghost of Richard Roe roams this cave. It is said that he used to live in the Old Man's Cave during the early 1800s, but died from an accidental gunshot. So there you go. And he's supposedly buried near the cave in an unmarked grave. So just by sense of being unmarked grave, who knows? You could be walking on his grave and not even know it, right? It's kind of sad.
That's a good point.
There are visitors to this area that claim to see him walking around with the two hound dogs he kept for hunting.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's also a story that says that during the full moon, his hounds will call out and lead anyone nearby right to his unmarked grave.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
So I don't know if we'd have to plan to walk around during a full moon in the state park here to get that, but
Probably wouldn't be allowed because it's a state park, so it's probably closed at sunset.
probably not.
Yeah,
But
so we don't encourage anybody to go do this after dark.
I think the state park does have during Halloween time, like a Halloween night hike through there. So maybe that's part of where that story comes from. There's another cave here, though, called Ash Cave. And it's considered one of the most haunted places in Ohio. And guess what? It does have a lady. It's known as either the Pale Lady or the White Lady. It's the ghost of a woman in a very flowery dress and no shoes.
Hmm.
So that's important to know. So no shoes. And get this, it's notorious for quietly following hikers up various trails around Ash Cave. So you talk about footsteps coming up behind you. Can you imagine having a spirit ghost kind of like following you around behind you quietly as you hike? It's a little creepy. I don't know. Also, visitors will report hearing drumming from the back of that cave. So we talk about the Native American element to it. Maybe there's some of that that's part of this haunting there. Maybe some residual sound that comes from that. Also in Hocking Hills State Park, and we'll have to circle back to this, but it is also location of several Bigfoot sightings.
Yes.
Yeah, and most recently, Bigfoot was spotted in 2022 there. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but sightings go back as far as the 1800s in this state park.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in Bigfoot, but I don't know. How can you not? You the more and more our technology is evolving, you have some proof out there. So definitely need to circle back when we get into some crypto creature episodes. Circling
Yeah.
back to Bigfoot.
Well, we could do just a whole series on Bigfoot alone. That
Oh
website
yeah.
out of the Bigfoot, I forget the name of it, but the association that follows, and you can report all the sightings. Yeah. All right, here's another haunting that I found in Ohio. And of course, my husband, having attended Ohio State, Columbus, Ohio, I've been to Columbus, Ohio before. But one of the native Columbus Ohioans, I guess, is James Thurber. You guys know him? He he's one of the more famous humorist, cartoonist, authors. And he and his family lived in Columbus on Jefferson Avenue and restored an old home, which is now known as the Thurber House. And the Thurber House is now a museum. It's dedicated to all of his work, but there's more than just his work there. It is said that he himself, when he lived in this house, had strange occurrences that would happen. And he's known to have shared those hauntings in his own work called The Night the Ghost Got In. So we'll have to look that up. Written by him, his experiences are in that story, The Night the Ghost Got In by James Thurber. But people who visit this home, this museum, say that they've seen books fly off shelves. They've heard footsteps on the back staircase. And even though people, they surmise that this is James Thurber haunting his house, but others wonder if it's distressed spirits from a asylum, psychiatric hospital on the ground. So get this. So this is like hauntings that are overlapping or that are overlaid. So back in 1868, the Ohio Lunatic Asylum burned down. And it used to be right on that land. And that land was divided into 3 residential parts, one of which later became the Thurber House. So the Thurber House sits on land that used to be occupied by the Ohio Lunatic Asylum. And actually, there's still traces of this asylum in the area. The Ohio Asylum for the Insane Cemetery is located in downtown Columbus. And get this, I know this is kind of sad. The markers for the deceased are only the size of bricks, and they're labeled with either an M for male or F for female, no name, and a patient number. That's
Wow.
kind of sad.
That's
And
sad.
several grave markers only say the word specimens, which means that they were probably part of like, lab experiments or something.
Mhm.
Over the years, there's been a lot of speculation about the kinds of experiments or possibly torture that resulted in the deaths of some of these patients that are buried here. So the Thurber House is considered one of the more haunted places, but it's hard to tell if those hauntings come from the patients from the psychiatric asylum that was on that property or from the haunting of Thurber himself in his own home. So it's interesting, to be able to go there and what you might connect up with. You might be connecting up with some of these patients who are tortured, and that kind of energy certainly would remain in the area. But can you imagine your grave marker only marked with your number? That's sad. Or the word specimen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. That's
So
sad.
you gotta imagine this energy being still part of the hauntings that are happening in this area. So I found this as an interesting case of, what is haunting. We get homes that we've talked about that have had several tragedies in them, multiple families. So you get multiple ghosts, like one of the ones I think I talked about last time that had all these different spirits at different time that were in this home, still haunting. But I found that tragic. One of the other places, and I found in the Put-in Bay area of Ohio, was the Park Hotel. And it's located in the center of a very charming town near Lake Erie. It was built in the 1870s. And the hotel still has many of its original features, which I found interesting, like the fireplace, the tin press ceilings, which would be awesome to see in the front picture windows. Visitors that are there, it's known as being one of the more haunted hotels in Ohio, and it's haunted by several ghosts. And what I found interesting about this one is that the ghosts are, like you reported from the hotel in Arkansas, they are room specific. So in let's see, in room 14 of the Park Hotel is a spirit woman they call the governess, because even though she's sighted throughout the hotel, she frequents room 14 and is said to linger around children who are staying at the hotel. So she must have been one of these nannies or maids that were meant to be for children. And maybe it was her charges that were in room 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
She likes to go to room 14.
Huh.
Another room specific ghost is found in room 17 of the Park Hotel. And this is a male ghost. He also haunts the hotel bar too, but he's said to be, he's been sighted really looking out of room 17's window. And then you can see a variety of other ghosts in period clothing and eerie music that comes from the ballroom of this hotel. So it might be a place to go and stay in room 14 or 17, see what we find out, you know.
Yeah, I want to hear the music in the ballroom too.
Yeah,
Love,
that'd be cool.
Yes,
love
yeah.
that. And I have to say, no matter where you go, like even if you're skeptical or you don't really want to hear spirit through clairvoyance, like or clairauditory, one of the most wonderful sounds in that could be heard is children laughing when it's not a creepy laugh, when it's genuine laughter, right? It's a beautiful sound, whether children are alive and sadly deceased. When we can hear them laugh, that specific frequency can change your whole kind of demeanor, which is cool.
And there's plenty more, but I have one more I'm going to report on because we have a lady in black in this one.
Oh.
And it is considered one of the more haunted places you can go to in Ohio, and that's the Franklin Castle. So this castle dates back to the 1800s and was built by a wealthy German immigrant named Hans Tiedemann. It has then since been a clubhouse for German Singing Society, a headquarters for German socialist organizations, It's been a doctor's office, apartments, and a hideout for bootleggers. So doesn't it sound like a place that would have a lot of stuff going on? Yeah. So, but there's been a series of tragedies that that have been in this place. Most experienced by the Tiedemann family, who lived in the house until 1895. Now, having been built by Hans Tiedemann, I'm going to tell you that this mansion is 21 rooms large, but has a lot of hidden passages in there.
Oh,
Probably
that's
for
cool.
digging, right? Yeah. So the house was used by as a clubhouse for a Nazi organization.
Hmm.
And then, like I said before, for bootlegging. So here are some of the sites when it comes, the ghost sightings when it comes to this. So, following a dispute among Nazi sympathizers, a group of men were gunned down in this mansion, and their discussions apparently can still be heard today. So you talk about the clairaudience, you can still hear these men discussing. They were gunned down. So if you wanted to hear any of that, I don't know. The Tiedemann family itself, the main ghost that is seen here is said to be of Katie Tiedemann, who is said to be hung by her father Hans in one of the secret passageways.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty tragic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
said that her spirit appears as a thin lady in black. So there's your black lady.
Hmm.
That's really tragic. There were 4 other Tiedemann children that died in the house, reportedly, 3 as babies, and then the 15-year-old girl, Emma, who died of diabetes. And Tiedeman's wife died of liver disease in the home as well. Now, in doing all this research, you hear all these deaths of the Tiedemann family happening in the house, but I also found one account that says the only person who died of the Tiedemann family in the house was the wife. So I don't know. I don't know. But you got a lady in black there, supposedly of Katie Tiedemann, who was hung by her own father. That's
Wow.
that's bad and evil.
Hmm.
And then here's some more ghost sightings. Now, it was a doctor's office at one time, and there are reports of babies crying within the walls. You can hear babies crying.
Oh, no, thank you.
The baby's skeleton was recovered from the building, and it was suspected to be the victim of a bad doctor who held a practice in the mansion at one time.
Oh,
Wow.
that's so sad.
There's a lot of tragedy in here, right? A lot of tragic stuff happening here. And then get this, one of the families visiting or owners of the mansion, after one of the families reported that that they had young children wanting to give a treat to a young girl who wouldn't stop crying.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. And it is also said that Mrs. Tiedemann herself is said to have, take this with a grain of salt, possessed one of the former owners. I don't know if that's true or not. And then there was a vagrant who wandered into this building and set fire to different parts of the building. It was, of course, extinguished, and it was reported, and he was caught. And his reasons for doing it was that he said he felt evil coming from the house.
Hmm. Wow.
yeah. So he set fire to.
Do it to get rid of the evil. Yeah.
Okay, well, isn't that like smudging? Except maybe you should have maybe just used some Palo Santo or sage instead of setting fire to the
I mean,
whole house.
you have had reports of like babies crying, you find baby skeletons. It was also reported that it wasn't just one skeleton, but a pile of baby skeletons were found in the house, and the doctor was blamed for it.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, this is like one of those like sick places, you know?
Yeah.
Uh oh, but yeah. So
Wow.
if you heard that, and then you've heard, of a lady in black walking around, especially because people associate black with evil and death, and then you know that there may have been all these girls that died in this house and a dad who hung one of them. I mean, yeah, I would think of it as a evil house.
In your research, was this a gentleman who had like old school thinking? Like consistently produced female children, but was looking for a male heir? Was there anything to the story
it could
like
be.
that?
I didn't find anything specific to that. All I did find is that he was a wealthy German immigrant. And if you're wealthy and you're back in the 1800s, you wanted to leave yourself to a son. You didn't have one. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I almost feel like maybe some old folklore, if we dug deeper into that, might it be like he killed all his female daughters because he was trying to get an heir?
Well, I don't know. Not only that, but he allowed German socialists to, well, I don't know if he allowed, because he left in 1895. So that was well before the Nazis,
Yeah.
but it was a home for, so maybe some of that energy, I don't know. Being German myself, I happen to know that we're not all Nazis or anything like that, but I do know that there's something very authoritative with a German personality at times, right? And a lot of things are kept close to the vest and not talked about. And I don't know, is there a truth to him hanging his own daughter? These are just, of course, stories that circulate around. And I don't know, rumors or stories you take with a grain of salt, but they somehow are based in some sort of truth somewhere along the line. So my guess is that maybe he was a little bit tyrannical. Maybe he was, himself very punitive. I don't know. I mean, he had four children that died, three of them as babies. Did he take those babies and just chuck them to the basement? I don't
Because
know.
they were girls? You just don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get much information. I could delve further into his life and see what else I can find. I was just kind of staying more with those hauntings, but I just found that kind of interesting. And of course, as in most places, we can tour things. But yeah, those were some of the places I found. I mean, there was the Ohio State Reformatory, which is an old prison that had some activity. It's considered to be pretty haunted as well, but as most prisons are, with, screams and, people trying to touch you and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, Ohio's got its own hauntings, and there's even more there. There was like a haunted tunnel, haunted bridges, and Ohio even has its own Ichabod Crane story about, maybe not a headless horseman, but a horseman on a bridge, right? So
Yeah, Michigan had some stories like that too.
yeah. So anyway, that has been Ohio. So there's our Midwest state part one, and we'll be back next week with more states to cover as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, do we have an affirmation?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Lisa, did you find an affirmation?
I did not go looking this time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we have to be more consistent now that we don't have the affirmation jar in front of us.
Yeah. Actually, I think I have these of those somewhere here in the house. I'll have to go grab them. But
yeah, definitely.
I just looked up real quick here. We can use this one just about, trying to be more who we are. I have a very quick one that just says, I stand within my own power and my own truth.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad one to go with for the week.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Stand in your own power, stand in your own truth, and grow older and wiser and wilder. I like that.
Wilder. Okay, there you go. All right. Well, there you go. So until next week, we'll connect with you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind-the-scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/readytoconnectpodcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.